in the United States, of course, where you've been hearing that Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, he meets with President Trump later today. Trade will be high on that agenda because remember, one of Mr. Trump's first actions as president was to withdraw the US from that 12-nation Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal signed by Obama and strongly supported, of course, by the Japanese. Mr. Trump called it a terrible deal for the US. He wants a fairer trading relationship with Japan, and let me show you why. Let me show you some of the numbers. Last year, Japan sold almost $69 billion of more stuff to the US than it bought from the US. That's called trade surplus. And it's one of the biggest trade surplus any nation has with America. Now, to give you an idea why, look at this. In 2015, that's the latest figures we have, the US sold to Japan, exported to Japan, 16,000 cars. Here's how many Japanese cars were sold in the United States in the same time. Nearly 17.5 million. That there is an all-time high, all-time record. Now, here is a vital point, though, about that. Most of those cars were actually made in the United States. Mr. Abe is expected to very strongly stress that nearly 1.5 million American jobs rely on, or directly or indirectly, rely on Japanese car makers. On top of that, you've got this so-called currency wars, because Mr. Trump, he has claimed and argued that the Japanese yen is kept artificially low against the dollar to help Japanese exporters. The lower the value of the yen, the more stuff we buy from Japan. So that's why there's that argument. Japan denies doing any of that. And then there's another big figure that's causing a lot of tension. It's that number right there, nearly $5.5 billion. That was the bill to keep US troops in Japan last year. Japan actually paid almost half of that, and that's according to their defense ministry. But Mr. Trump says the US is shouldering too much of the burden of the security in the region. So how best to diffuse all of the tension? You go and play some golf, don't you? Here's Samira.
Japan's Prime Minister will be meeting with President Trump at the White House on Friday. But where most of the diplomatic chatter may actually take place is on the links.
American presidents have a long history of playing golf, and Mr. Trump is no different. In a recent interview, the president said he believes golf is a better way to get to know someone than having lunch. One of the reasons why he has invited Shinzo Abe, a fellow golf enthusiast, to join him at Mar-a-Lago, the winter White House.
This is a testament to the importance the United States places on the bilateral relationship and the strength of our alliance and the deep economic ties between the United States and Japan.
But Mr. Abe's trip to Florida is raising questions of conflicts of interest. Who will be paying for the Prime Minister's stay at Donald Trump's resort? Eyebrows were also raised the last time the Prime Minister met with the then President-elect Trump after his November election win. The president's daughter, Ivanka, was there, again raising questions about potential conflicts of interest between the president and his family's business ventures.
So what will the two leaders be discussing? Well, security and trade will be top of the agenda. Now that the U.S. has pulled out of the TPP, that's the 12-country trade pact, well, Mr. Trump is going to be looking to try and get some sort of bilateral trade deal with Japan on the books.
Mr. Abe will be coming to Washington with a massive business proposal for Japanese companies to invest in the U.S. in infrastructure and job creation projects. And the Prime Minister has already picked up on the subtleties of this new game. He said he will give Trump a tweetable figure.
There you go. Hey, it looks like President Trump might have to pencil in a lot more golf, and certainly some golf with President Xi of